Welcome back to Rockstock Channel. It is Wednesday, February 12th, and today we have on again Killian Charles, the CEO of Brunswick Exploration, who we last touched base with here on Rockstock Channel about 10 months ago. Brunswick trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BRW, and on the OTCQB, ticker symbol BRWXF. The current stock price is about 12 cents Canadian, down more than 70% from the mid 40-cent level where it traded during our last interview. Brunswick's current market cap is 24 million Canadian, or about 17 million US dollars. The company has several hard rock exploration projects in Canada, with the Mirage property in Quebec as its highest priority. But the company has also pegged substantial ground and done some early promising exploration work in a country very much in the news these days, which is Greenland. Rodney will dig into this shortly. Brunswick has a fairly tight share registered back by a 10% stake in Cisco, and with company insiders holding another 35% and a single-family office holding 18%. These and other investors contributed to an upsized equity raise of 4.8 million Canadian in December through flow-through and regular financings at 31 and 23 cents Canadian. The company's current cash balance is about 5.5 million Canadian dollars. You could find Brunswick on LinkedIn. And please note, Rodney and I are not strategic advisors to nor invested in Brunswick Exploration. And of course, we are not financial advisors, and nothing in this video should be considered investment advice. Please do your own research and read the disclaimer at the end of this video. And with that, welcome back, Killian. It's been a bit of a rough year, but I saw you at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, and you were talking up, some interesting stuff in Greenland. Look forward to hearing about that, as well as updates in Mirage and Quebec, and Rodney will lead that questioning.
Perfect. Pleasure to be here.
So, Killian, it's good to have you back. You guys use state-of-the-art exploration technology. Can you elaborate on the techniques that you use and how they've contributed to Brunswick's discoveries?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, for us, it's about scale, and it's about developing a deep knowledge base more than anything else, right? We spent the last few years elaborating an exploration model and, testing our hypothesis and our model repeatedly in the field, initially across Quebec and across Canada, and now on an international basis in Greenland. And the important thing here is that this model works. This exploration technique works. It leads to discoveries, as we saw with our latest discovery now, and as you mentioned, Greenland. It's a really unique type of exploration strategy because it's one that's predominantly done in the field. So it's one where we're able to rapidly ascertain the potential of what we're looking at in the matter of minutes, to be quite honest. And so that gives us the wherewithal to stake a lot, to look at very broad exploration packages. We're really not constrained like you would be in other commodities. And we can be very aggressive in exploring these packages, knowing that we'll be able to do so in a fashion that is both quick and capital efficient. And look, honest to God, it leads to discoveries. Mirage is a discovery that came from that system. Elron, which unfortunately was not the size we're looking for, came from that system. And Greenland, this brand new country that had literally, there was one showing from 1971, but no one in the government knew about it. And, when we first came up, there was no lithium showing. And then we went ahead and confirmed the presence of lithium. Again, through our model, through this process. And it's one that we repeatedly apply, and it leads to more and more discoveries. That's what separates Brunswick from a lot of other companies out there. We can make discoveries, and our process works to make discoveries.
Great. So it seems as if we look at what's going on in the market and share price action, that investors have forgotten that you had a 93-meter intercept with a a 1.55% grade at the Mirage project, which is near Winsome and Patriot. How is your recent winter drilling program progressing?
Yeah, so the winter drilling program is progressing well. We're targeting at least 5,000 meters. We'll probably do a little bit more than that, probably around the 6,000 to 7,000 meter mark. And yeah, it is somewhat frustrating to have people forget about what we can deliver exactly at Mirage. A lot of the drilling we're doing right now is to actually try to push the boundaries of what Mirage can give. Historically, over the last, call it 18 months, we really focused on a 2 by 2 kilometer area core part where we hit that wonderful intercept roughly 10 months ago. But, we have mineralization that's up to 5 kilometers away. And that's what we're doing. We're doing a 5 kilometer step out in terms of our drilling to the east. We're doing another almost 1.5 kilometer step out to the west from that core part. So really what we're trying to show to people is just the scale and scope of this system, just how much Mirage can actually deliver. I think, we've always said, it's been very clear, with the previous question was, what's our exploration strategy? And that's fine, but we also have a target. We've always been very blunt to the market that we are looking for a minimum of 50 million tons. And we will not waste our time if we cannot hit that minimum threshold. And I promise you, all of the work we've done is going to be towards hitting that initial number. And it will absolutely go above and beyond what we can do at Mirage. This is a world-class environment. You mentioned assets like Winsome. You mentioned assets like Patriot. There's a plethora of other assets there. This is truly a world-class environment. Mirage, it's right in the middle of this area. We have a trend that we are going to demonstrate that it can be significantly bigger than everything that we've drilled to date. This is exactly the type of asset you want to have in the lithium space. It's hard rock, it's spodumene, it checks the box for what is going to be a future mine. There's no two ways around it.
And on that note, you recently got SGS to perform some metallurgical test work on samples. It looked like a fairly broad range from the Mirage projects, and the results were very encouraging. It suggested possibly DMS only, and the spodumene concentrate produced looked to have fairly low impurities. Where to from here on that front?
Look, that's the other fun thing about, exploration in Quebec. And I think it reinforces that world-class environment. It's not just in terms of grade. It's not just in terms of size. Those are fantastic proponents for Mirage and the surrounding assets. But if you take a step back, all of these assets all benefit from pretty, I don't want to say standard, but pretty great metallurgy. And Mirage is no different. The work that we've done to date, and especially released with these latest metallurgical results, demonstrate that Mirage is going to be, your cheapest processing methodology, or at least is indicated that we can move towards that. We went ahead and took a sample that combined multiple areas of our deposit of our project to give a realistic value for recoveries. We did HLS, which, was then immediately flipped into a preliminary DMS test. We are going to be more than likely doing DMS only, which is obviously your lowest cost production profile for metallurgy. And so it's as good as it gets. And as you mentioned, it's low in impurities as well. Again, demonstrating the quality. It's not just that 94 meter intercept. It's not just the fact that it's a 10 kilometer trend that we're, doing these massive step outs in our current winter drilling, but it also checks the box of having, strong metallurgy that we believe is going to demonstrate that Mirage has the potential of being a low cost producer, just like Winsome, just like Patriot, just like all these great assets that you find here in this province.
And Killian, how would you rate the infrastructure that's available at Mirage?
So, one of the key guidelines we started off with was the fact that you needed to be within 50 kilometers from infrastructure, right? So I just spoke about minimum 50 million tons. Another one was 50 kilometers from infrastructure. Mirage is about 37 kilometers from a road, the Trans-Taiga, the same access that a project like Patriot would, their company like Patriot would take. But there's a lot of talk now in continuing a road up from Winsome to connect to the Trans-Taiga. That potential road would come within a few kilometers from Mirage. Infrastructure in this part of the world is it's good, but it's continuously improving. I think more than infrastructure, more than this talk around infrastructure, the key piece that's missing for all of these assets in Quebec is actually a refinery. More than anything else is in sort of in-country transformation. And, it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg type of scenario. It will eventually come. And then all of these questions around infrastructure become moot because all of these assets are close enough to be developed.
Okay, great. And how have you found the local communities and government in the region? Are they supportive?
Look, everyone's supportive. Everyone understands the opportunity here, right? We need to take a step back and understand that this is a commodity that is intertwined with our future, whether some politicians want it or not. And it is a commodity that, matters to everyone on the planet, just like oil and gas. And so, from a government perspective, from a First Nations perspective, from local communities, they all wish to participate in sort of this, massive amount of wealth creation that can happen. So, look, as long as you're a good actor, things are going to work well. Community support is good. We make sure that we're, dotting our I's, crossing our T's on that front, and that's going to be the case going forward. And again, we need to contextualize it. The area we are in is an area that has seen significant historical development for hydroelectrical power. A significant portion of, even New York City is powered from this part of the world, right? So it's an area that has historically seen development. And so it's a great area to be finding future mines, be it us at Mirage, be it Winsome, be it Patriot, be it White Rock or Perseverance or any other company in the area.
And how do you at Brunswick believe the critical mineral supply chain and ecosystem will evolve in Canada and North America if you look at the recent goings on in the US and some of the things Trump is passing commentary on?
You know what? It's that's a heady question if I've ever had one in a while. It on one side you have a lot of talk, a lot of bluster, but when I look at the way Trump talks about, let's say, Greenland or Ukraine, it's often from the perspective of critical minerals more than anything else, to be quite honest. And so, if we look from the context of developing that value chain, going into these areas, developing, assets like Mirage and developing that whole value chain, whether it be in Quebec or partially in the US, it happens, right? Because at the end of the day, people understand that this is where it's going. And one of the best examples is, let's say, solar power, right? Solar power costs have decreased dramatically. I mean, the amount of solar being installed across the world is frankly staggering. And then you add up to that, a lot of people want to add a 6 to 12 hour battery on top of that. And that's often going to be some form of lithium battery, right? So, I mean, I'm quite confident that these assets develop, whether you have a lot of talks of tariffs or not. I don't think it changes, right? Fundamentally, this is where these assets are. You can't move them. I can't magically make an asset like CV5 appear, in, let's say, Wisconsin. That's not happening, It happens to be in Quebec. And so that's where if you're going to develop a North American industry, that's where your raw material has to come from, because anywhere else is going to come from further out, right? Whether it be Brazil, West Africa, which is anyway controlled by the Chinese assets, or, Australia, the DRC, Zimbabwe. I mean, those are just too far. You can't compete on a location basis to Quebec. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of talk. I think it's fundamentally not going to change too much, except bring, more interest to what we're doing inside Brunswick and the type of assets we're finding inside this company.
And Killian, what are the key milestones for Mirage in the next 12 months that investors should look out for?
Well, look, we're drilling right now. So obviously there's a lot of work going around that. And it's going to lead towards our initial maiden resource estimate, which again, I mean, we want to be hitting that minimum 50 million tons, and truly it's more than that we want to be hitting, and we will. There's no two ways around it. That's what we're targeting. So there's going to be lots more drilling, lots more upside on that front, and then start to delineate just what type of potential we can find here and start demonstrating that more and more to the market in a concrete fashion.
And I touched on it on the previous question, so it's an opportune time to move on to another trumpet project, which is Greenland. You've discovered a lithium-bearing spodumene pegmatite and have applied for additional licenses. How prospective is Greenland for lithium, in your opinion?
Just as a quick aside, I always joke that I'm 2 out of 3 here. I just need to find some lithium in Panama, then I'll be 3 out of 3. Look, Greenland is an area that we identified pretty much at the start. Once we started developing our model back in 2020, 2021, our exploration model, Greenland jumped out at us right away. It's an area that had seen significant exploration for every commodity but lithium, be it, gold, copper, nickel. And so for us, it made a lot of sense to eventually get there. We put pen to paper back in 23. Finally in 24, we, started the year we staked. We went there in the second half of 24. And it took us 20 days to make a discovery. That's how fast it was. And because this is an area that has seen no work on the lithium front. I like to joke that the lithium showing that we found is, a couple of dozen meters from an actual gold showing. So it's not like no one ever went there before. There's a literal gold showing on that project, and yet no one could be bothered to look at the pegmatites. And it happens to be 90 kilometers from the capital of Greenland. So again, we're not talking about a remote area. We're not talking about an area that no one's ever gone before. No, these are areas that have been prospected many times over, in areas that, have great infrastructure support. And sure enough, we're finding lithium. When we went there, eventually digging across the country, we found one other historical showing from 1971, which happened to be right in the middle of our claim. So, we actually now have 2 lithium discoveries in the country. But while we were doing that work, when we started off, there was nothing on paper that said there's going to be lithium here, except our exploration model, except our strategy saying, look, this is the right environment, the right rocks, all of the ingredients are in place. Let's go ahead and do an exploration survey. Let's push the envelope on that front. And funnily enough, we initially went there more from a European perspective. We saw Greenland as an attractive way to delineate assets for a European market, where Europe, they have some lithium asset, be it spodumene, be it brines, be it a variety of other minerals. But, it's hard to develop mines. It's hard to permit mines and get social acceptability in Europe. And we saw as Greenland as an area that is supportive of mining and a great way to tap into the market. Now, obviously, geopolitically, things have changed a little bit, but, our view hasn't really moved. I still think that, Greenland is approached from a European market. The reason why we went there, the geology was great, but we went there because everything's on tidewater, right? Ultimately, you're connected to the cheapest form of transportation, which is frankly a boat, right? So that's why we felt confident about going into Greenland, knowing that if we made a discovery, we know there's an exit strategy for that material. It can easily reach any port in Europe or vice versa, any port in the US as well. But it's definitely a strategic exploration program. And to be quite frank, we're not just first movers at this point in time. We're only movers, right? We have staked up everything in that country that has lithium potential and that is accessible. There's no one else coming up there. There's no other companies. That's it. I mean, if you want to look at lithium in Greenland, we're the only game in town. There's no one else doing what we're doing over there.
You kind of alluded to it, Killian. I'm not overly familiar with Greenland in terms of the complexity of getting environmental impact assessments and permitting done. Is there a lot going on?
Yeah, so there's a number of precedents, recent precedents as well as that. So they just approve a moly mine to be built, actually in a more complex area of the country. They receive a significant amount of funding from the EU to set that going. So this has been in the last, I think, 6 to 9 months. They've approved lead zinc mines as well. It's an area that has that sees mining as a form of, we'll say, not so much, well, partially national pride, but as a way of strengthening their economy, right? It's an economy that's predominantly based around fishing, as well as to a lower extent tourism and government, just people having government jobs. So mining is a fantastic way to diversify their economy and strengthen their economy. So, discoveries like the ones we're doing on the lithium front are going to be key to bring significant more wealth into Greenland as long as everything is done in the correct fashion.
Okay, great. And then a last one from me. I had a look in your deck. Your shareholder register is tight. Insiders holding looks to be more than 30%. And your last non-brokered capital raise was upsized. So is it fair to say that insiders continue to support and see substantial upside in the company?
Insiders continue to support. Insiders continue to buy. They were a significant portion of the previous financing that you just mentioned. We still have a large, even the balance of that previous financing was, again, long-term shareholders who have been with us, frankly, almost from the start. We believe in what we're doing, okay. You kind of alluded at the start, people have forgotten about some of the intercepts we've done. It's a frustration, but it's not going to scare us. We believe in what we're doing. The team does so, management does so, the board does so, the insiders do. And so we are going to continue to advance these assets in a sustainable fashion, mind you, but we're going to continue to advance these assets and deliver results to the market, almost whether it wants to or not here, but we absolutely will. We believe in the value of Mirage. That's why we're drilling it. That's why we're doing these massive step outs, because we believe in this asset. We're making new discoveries in Greenland because we believe we can do a lot more. We've built a team that is almost unparalleled in this market, right? We haven't made, the discovery equivalent to CV5 or Cisco as of yet. That's fine. That's more luck than anything else. But what we can demonstrate is that we can make discoveries, and luck will favor us, be it a Mirage, be it in Greenland, be it somewhere else that we're also cooking on. We can deliver results, and we will continue to deliver results for when the lithium market and the lithium price returns. We will be ready. We won't have, just sat around quietly doing nothing. We will have advanced our assets. We will have demonstrated significant more value across our entire portfolio, to be quite frank.
All right, Killian, thank you. I have a different background here. My computer crashed during that interview, so I didn't hear everything. But I know it's going to be, a continuation of Mirage exploration, as well as definitely an interesting dynamic happening in Greenland. If America takes over Greenland, then you make a big discovery there. You'll be not only IRA compliant, but available for U.S. funds. It seems very much that Trump is focused on Greenland for its critical minerals. Rare earths are the ones that have been talked about, but as far as we understand, those rare earths have been picked over, and there are people who have opinions about them. But from a lithium perspective, it's totally grassroots. So you have very good and loyal shareholders who followed into the company and maintained, I guess, a lot of their position in that last financing in December. It was obviously a difficult year all around in lithium, and but better days are ahead. Actually, Better Days is a Bruce Springsteen song. I haven't used that one, but I did use Optimistic Thought in my latest video from Blues Traveler in the Trump 2.0. So I'd encourage all of viewers of this video, if you haven't seen that Optimistic Thought video, to watch that after this Brunswick video. Thanks a lot, Killian, and look forward to seeing you at PDAC in next month.
Yeah, look, we've got lots of things to release out there, and we're going to be active. More than anything else, even in these miserable markets, there's reasons to be optimistic, and Brunswick doing work is one of them.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks a lot, and we'll speak soon.
Cheers.